All right, we're gonna go off the cuff. Um, it's been hard coming up with new topics and trying not to sound repetitive. But like I always say, I like to branch off from certain topics. Um, I'm pretty sure with alcoholism and partying and just priorities, I got my license later in life, like late teens. Um, Drank throughout all my 20s and partied. Worked okay jobs. Earlier on, in my late teens and my early 20s, I was working really minimum wage and just. I look back and it's like, man, all I had to do was get my license, work some labor, make some more money. Things could have been different from back then. I got my stuff together. I'm doing good now, but I look back and it's like, where was the zest at, you know? And I know there's a lot of people that are stuck in this rut, and I'm seeing myself in them, and they're at a young age. And some people don't get out of it. I know people in their 40s and 50s that are still in that rut. And I'm glad it's better late than never to wisen up and leveling up in real life besides in video games, which is funny because I'm addicted to Diablo 4. But there's just no zest. Back when I was young, I'd sit around and game. I wouldn't work. Didn't have anything to my name. And I'd just be partying, getting drunk, and partying was what I lived for on the weekends. And then, I started working labor young and I was saving money. Money was never an issue besides when I went through a really bad relationship and it ran me to zero years ago. Had to rebuild from that, but money was never really I wasn't collecting as much back then at all, really. I had what I had from my childhood and I wish I would have, but that zest didn't strike again till the past couple of years. But I just always think about it, and I matured late, but it's better late than never, right? I always stress, get it out of the way by 25, get your stuff together. And if you're 19, 20 grinding out and not really drinking much and stuff, good for you. I've met some people. I have some hope for the younger generation. I know there's a lot of lazy people, but I've met some hardworking young kids. They're kids to me. That gives me hope. But do I have some regrets? I do and I don't. I look back and I had a lot of fun times. I wouldn't change for the world, but I also, it came with a lot of degenerate times and a lot of bad habitual structures were formed, like the drinking alone and being in that perpetual loop of drinking. But yeah, I matured late in life, man. I have a weird brain. I'm real slow to adapt and I procrastinate all the time. But once I master something, I'm very formidable. I'm very extensive with it, right? It's that addictive personality. My AC is turning on and there's no reason for it. One sec. I apologize. It's that addictive personality mixed with I don't know. It's whatever you focus on is what all your energy is going to be expelled into, right? And it was just drinking on the weekends, and I really wasn't collecting or making a bit of ad revenue or doing things online to make profit, trading, none of that. I had no interest in trading, in stocks and crypto. Crypto wasn't even around then. My gosh, $1 in Bitcoin back then would net you a couple $100,000 today. But all this stuff came later in life, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I will have that slight regret of why didn't I do this in my young 20s? I'd be so far ahead today. It was just I was saving, even when I had stacks of cash. It's I had my computer, I'd work, party, you know, date whoever I was with, you know, live the relationship life, and that was like it. My hobbies were minimal. I didn't start playing guitar till my late 20s. I gave up on the MIDI and making electro music. I was doing that a lot in my late teens. Like, I was obsessed with like Fruity Loops and Reason 3. Now it's on like Reason 15. And Fruity Loops is on like 10 gens higher. These are music making apps, by the way. But my Behringer MIDI back there I've had since I was 19. And I was making decent beats and I just stopped. And then I was doing like the YouTube thing on a whole other channel and it was going all right. I just stopped. You know, depression, went through a breakup, didn't care when I could have made something out of it. And that's something I'll have to live with. You know, I hate that side of me where I would start something and never fully give it 100, or like I would get obsessed and then drop things right away. But now that I'm older, like I put the pedal to the metal. I still have my issues, but like I got pretty adept with guitar, acoustic, and I'm sleeping on the MIDI again. I want to get it out. I have a drum pad, a mixer, multiple MIDIs, all 3 size MIDIs. I got the programs, and I'm being lazy. There's no excuse for it. There's free time. And I got to get back into the rhythm of learning some more piano, which to me is much harder than guitar. But that's on me, and I own it. And I've been saying this for months. And when you get into that, don't do that. Like, oh, I'll get to it next week. And then it ends up being a month, 6 months, a year. You look back 3 years and you're like, man, I've had that MIDI, the whole MIDI setup for over going on 2 years. And I messed with it for a month. And I could be so far advanced by now. And I'm not, you know. I was quite good when I was younger. I still have my profiles up. The beats, they're not bad. I mean, if I was stuck with it, you know, but depression will really make you give up on things and just lose your interest. And I refuse to let depression creep in like that again. Sometimes you can feel it and like you're tired, you're stressed, and like it can, when I was deep into depression many years ago, it takes your zest out. Like you don't want to do anything. Like I get a lot of enjoyment out of playing guitar and like learning things, and like none of that's there, man. Like you have no zest for it. And alcoholism mixed in there, it's a recipe for disaster. And then yeah, it's a bad place. And that's why I'm so consistent with the gym and trying to control my anger. And my anger's still not where I want it to be, you know? And I admit that. Who knows? Maybe I'll get back on some sertraline, or I don't know, maybe look into like some basic therapy or something. It's like I'm functional, but like it hinders my life. Same with OCD. Like I'm functional with that, but man, it sometimes it can be just mentally exhausting. Like I'll do a piano sequence in my head all the time. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And then like I was reading up more on Fibonacci sequences, and like I'm like going off on a ramble here, but like I'm just bringing up things that like stressors, like how the additive of two numbers, whatever it equals, you add it back to the highest number, and then it's a never-ending loop up. Like 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 1 = 3, 3 + 2 = 5, 5 + 8 = 13, 13 + 8 = 21, 21, and it goes on infinitely. And like I heard it in a song lyric, and I got obsessed with Fibonacci sequences again. I think they're cool. That's the way OCD works. Like you'll just obsess on something and repeat it and overanalyze it. And the hardest part about OCD is intrusive thoughts, like this thought loops and stuff, you know, and you learn to live with it, and you get better at it. I'll even force myself to do like intervals of 3. Like I hate threes. Like it's weird. I have like a favorite number 7, but I don't like perpetually touch things or stuff. Like some people have it much more drastic than me, but like I hate ending on 3. Everything has to be symmetrical. Like on my shelf, if there's an object a certain size to the right, there has to be one the same size to the left in the same area. It has to look symmetrical, right? And if it's not, it like messes with my brain. It's ridiculous. But I'm just talking off the cuff with this because I'm running out of topics. But it's basically just maturing in life late. It's not always a bad thing. I mean, some people are to 60, 70 and finally figuring it out, and that won't be me. But depression can really ruin your passions. It has for me in the past too. And I just went with drinking. Like I worked, drank on the weekends, and partied. And I had a lot of fun doing it, but a lot of degenerate depression coming from it. A lot of time wasted. But I think the depression goes hand in hand with like self-medication, right? It's obviously a big part of it. So you got to really take care of your mental health as well as your physical health, and they go hand in hand too. Like when I was really overweight, it really put extra weight on my mental health, you know. And it's never perfect. Even being down the weight, no nicotine, not drinking, I'll be using caffeine still. I gotta get that under control. It's still like, it's never going to be perfect. You can't live in a fairy tale world where it's like, oh, everything will just be perfect and 100%. It's never like that. We all have emotional swings. Life throws you curveballs, you know, and you got to be ready to take it on the chin. And it's not about the cliche saying, it's not about how many times you go down. It's about how many times you get back up and how you get up, right? But yeah. I just wanted to express, like, maturing late in life is not a terrible thing. This is going to be in 720p by accident, but it's whatever. It's better late than never. But I definitely did mature late in many aspects. And I'm still maturing, you know, when I'm in my late 30s, hopefully I look back and I go, wow, I was very immature then. I want to constantly get better. And I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But yeah, take it easy.